Each seeker is transcending his own capacity, his own reality, his own dream, his own realization every day, every hour, every minute, and every second. A sincere seeker of the highest truth discovers the fact that he made a solemn promise to God before he entered into the world arena. This promise was very simple and at the same time very soulful. His promise was to be the conscious instrument of God and to manifest Him here on earth through his dedication, through his aspiration, and through his conscious oneness with the world at large. This is the promise each aspiring soul has made, according to the seeker's own vision. All human souls, without exception, make this promise to the Absolute Supreme. Unfortunately, when we enter into the world arena, we enter into the sea of ignorance. We bathe for thousands of years in this sea of ignorance, and when we become tired of this ignorance bath, we enter into the sea of knowledge and wisdom. Then we remember our promise of God manifestation on earth. Each individual being will one day come to realize that he has made this promise to the Absolute. Unconsciously, everybody is trying to fulfill this promise, but a seeker is trying consciously to fulfill it, and a realized soul has already begun to fulfill it consciously and unconditionally. A seeker of the highest truth fulfills his promise consciously and soulfully. A spiritual master fulfills his promise consciously and unconditionally. But the individual who is not aspiring and who does not care for God realization or God manifestation right now is fulfilling his promise unconsciously. When one is fulfilling or trying to fulfill God consciously, he is fulfilling God in a perfect manner. When he is fulfilling God unconsciously, he is fulfilling God in an imperfect manner. When one has realized God consciously, one goes a step further and tries to reveal God consciously. Finally, one tries to manifest God consciously. In conscious realization, conscious revelation, and conscious manifestation, we see God, the eternal perfection. God is for everyone, but one who is conscious of God's existence reality is undoubtedly ahead in the divine race. Each individual looks for something here on earth and there in heaven. Here on earth, we look for something in God. When we enter into the spiritual life, we pray to God, we meditate on God, we contemplate on God. First, we start with our prayers. We learn how to pray from our parents. Then we try to concentrate on something which we want to achieve. We know that when our mind wanders, we cannot achieve anything, whereas when we focus our attention and power of concentration on a particular thing, we achieve success. We learn the art of concentration. Then we go one step ahead to meditation. When we meditate, we try to embody the vast, the infinite within us, or we try to dive into the vast, infinite sea of light and delight. The last step is contemplation. When we contemplate, our consciousness becomes one with the thing we contemplate upon. The lover becomes one with the beloved. The finite loses its finite existence and becomes one with the infinite, becoming the infinite itself. The earth-bound consciousness becomes one with the heaven-free consciousness. A seeker wants to see God. When he sees God face to face, he wants to see a certain thing in God, a special thing, and that thing is a sweet smile. Just by seeing God, he will not be satisfied. He wants to see God's exquisite smile. If he sees that God is smiling at him, he will achieve everything. Then the seeker wants to see a certain thing in man, and that thing is gratitude. He looks around. He feels that at every moment, consciously or unconsciously, he is offering something to mankind. He feels that if he can observe an iota of gratitude in mankind, then his self-offering will be fulfilled. But mankind is not responding. Then the seeker looks up to heaven. He wants to see a certain thing in heaven, and that thing is compassion. He feels that if heaven does not supply him with infinite compassion, he is helpless. Although he has achieved something in life, and the world extols him to the skies, he knows in the inmost recesses of his heart that he is helpless. He feels that if he gets more encouraging and fulfilling compassion from heaven, then he will be able to complete his task on earth most convincingly and most powerfully. The seeker expects something from earth. What does he expect? Patience. Earth has given him everything. But when he wants to do something for the earth consciousness, he feels that the earth consciousness is restless. It wants everything in the twinkling of an eye. He wants to see patience in the earth consciousness. And eventually there comes a time when the earth consciousness does have the necessary patience, which permits him to manifest the highest truth on earth. The seeker expects something from his own life. What does he expect? Unconditional service to mankind. If he can serve mankind unconditionally, then he will be satisfied. If he serves conditionally, then he can never be satisfied or fulfilled. He expects from himself unconditional service to the world at large, and ultimately he grows into that unconditional service tree. The seeker expects something when his present earth pilgrimage comes to an end. What does he expect? He expects the song of immortality. He feels that if he can hear the song of immortality, then he will someday achieve everything for the earth consciousness. When we try to please the inner pilot in his own way on the strength of our unconditional surrender, when we make an unconditional surrender to his will, when we become his chosen instruments and fulfill him in his own way, at that time we become perfect instruments. When today we have the inner dedication to say, "Let thy will be done," tomorrow we will have the right to say, "I and my Father are one."